Tonight, minority and majority leadership on Lands and Forestry Committee clash over allegations that Chief Director of the Lands Ministry confessed to the ministry hiring land guards, with the majority side determined to drag Tamale North MP Hassan Suhuyini before the Speaker for going public on the matter.
Don't take any information from our committee work to the press. It's a complete betrayal. The Speaker will determine, because we have to make complaint to the Speaker.
Reporting to the Speaker is completely unnecessary. It comes to nothing, because the Speaker cannot prevent anybody.
We have details from Parliament where a defiant majority side proceeded today with business in the House despite a near empty House, with a message to the opposition NDC who have been boycotting Parliament.
Our colleagues in the minority, and they have elected not to be present. So that the Parliament of this Republic cannot wait for them.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Tonight, the minority and the majority leadership on the Lands and Forestry Committee have clashed over allegations that the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry confers to the ministry hiring land guards, with the majority side determined to drag the Tamale North MP Hassan Suhuyini before the Speaker for going public on the matter. Now, the chairman of the Lands and Natural Resources Committee says the behavior of the deputy ranking member Hassan Suhuyini will be reported to the Speaker following his disclosure of the committee's closed-door sitting to the public. Francis Menu Adabo views his move as a betrayal, saying it violates the committee's operating procedures. Well, in the last few minutes, we've also been hearing from the ranking member on that committee, who is vehemently disagreeing with his chairman and also fighting the decision by the majority side of the committee to drag Hassan Suhuyini to the Speaker. Mr. Suhuyini himself this week on Monday informed the media that the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry, Professor Patrick Abuinsayale, indicated to the committee that the state has been contracting the services of notorious land guards to reclaim and safeguard public lands. Well, there's been a reaction today from the chairman, Francis Menu Adabo, who says his conduct was offensive to the rules of Parliament.
The committee is a committee of Parliament, and we had a referral from the Speaker of Parliament. So it's the Speaker that we can report to, no other person, until we finish with that report. Any information that comes out of that committee work is a betrayal. We don't have to break any news. We need to send the report to Speaker. And all these findings, if they are actually true, the Speaker will direct us what to do. We didn't go to do any investigation on our own. So we don't have to break any news from that committee work to the public without reporting first to the Speaker. I don't have to break any news because I've sworn oath of secrecy. Everything that comes out of a committee work, we must report to the Speaker at the plenary for discussion. And if anything is in that message report that people don't understand, they can file for a question. They can file anything in Parliament for redress. But you don't take any information from our committee work to the press without reporting first to the Speaker.
Right.
So I cannot speak to it until I finish with my report.
Okay. But then what happens then to this member of the committee who's already come out to the press?
The Speaker will determine, because we have to make complaint to the Speaker.
Will you be making that complaint separately?
In the report, it will come out. We will have to finish the report and then lay the report, and all what has happened from the time we went for the hearing to date will be captured in the report, and the Speaker will decide.
Well, tonight, the minority leadership on that committee have come to the defense of Hassan Suhuyini on the matter, and appears this has pitched both sides now firmly against each other. Listen to the ranking member on the committee, Rashid Purple, speaking to me a short while ago on this conflict that has erupted over what they were told by the Chief Director of the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry.
Well, not completely true, not a betrayal. Committee meetings are public events. The public is invited. You can walk into any committee meeting, listen, and if you want to make a report, you make a report. But a report would not represent the view of the committee. A report is presented by the committee and agreed to by all the members of the committee, or with some disagreement, either unanimous or by consensus. So if that happens, it means that what is presented to the House represents the voice of the committee. Now, if you pick anything out of the committee meeting and publicize it or discuss it in the public, it will not represent a true picture of what happened until the committee endorses it happen.
The chairman believes until a report is submitted to the speaker, you shouldn't be talking about it the way he's done.
Yeah, Suhuyini should not present a report and say this is a committee report. If he does that, the chairman is completely right. The committee report is presented by the committee, by the chairman, and then he moves the motion. The minister and the chairman with an endorsement by us if we support it. So, if Suhuyini had presented a report and say this is a committee report in contradiction with the order, the scheme of things, then the chairman would have been right. But otherwise, what Suhuyini has done is just to pick a bit of the total events that took place, all the reporting that took place. He just picked a small bit of it and then goes out to talk about it. He may just be sounding something that eventually will be of benefit to us if he does it and then it is addressed quickly.
What he put out, was it a factual representation of what the Chief Director of the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry actually told the committee?
Yes, it was a factual representation. He was trying to explain the situation in which government lands are protected, and he made some remarks about it. I'm sure that they forgot that they were speaking in Parliament. The committee meeting is like the same procedure as we go through in Parliament. It's the same thing that goes at committees. So if he has said that, knowing that he's speaking to Parliament, the impression is that he would have been speaking from the depth of his heart and maybe thinking or maybe speaking the truth of the situation at stake. So Suhuyini may have been trying to ensure that such an event, illegal and unacceptable, should be stopped.
But surely the Chief Director of the Land and Natural Resources Ministry was that candid, because he was appearing before you in camera. At least at that stage, he knew he was only
coming from. I don't know what that camera is.
Well, he was only talking to members of Parliament at the committee.
The committee meetings are not done in camera. They are done for public consumption. You can walk into any committee meeting, any committee in Parliament, except that it is said not to include the public. If it is a closed meeting, it's a different matter.
Because the argument goes, if you knew he was going to be reported the way it had been, he certainly may not be offering as much, which then undermines the committee's work going forward, because others appearing before you now will be cautious.
Yeah. Essentially, committee meetings are not reported in any form. They are reported when the committee reports are out. You see journalists now reporting them. Journalists many of the times are not interested in going to committees to take reports. But it's public, and anything you say, just know that it can be absorbed and used for public consumption. We don't hide committee findings. Therefore, we don't represent ourselves. We represent the public. And so whatever is said in committee meetings, unless it is defined as in camera, and this was not defined so, anybody can take it and discuss it.
Is it factual, as has been reported, that he said that the ministry, the police, the military, all engage land guards to protect state lands?
I didn't see or I didn't hear that they engage land guards. They talk about engaging one company, one person who provides support to protect the land, to seize the land, to take the land from people who have encroached them, and then payment is done to him, and he keeps doing that for the state. But as it is, once we are yet to finalize this report, I will end it up here, and I will say that reporting to the speaker is completely unnecessary. It comes to nothing, because the speaker cannot prevent anybody from listening to, from coming to hear committee meetings, and unless it's protected, and then reporting on it.
Would you be surprised to learn that there's a secret recording of the chief director appearing before the committee?
Like I said, I don't want to go into the details right now. What I have said is, I suppose, it should be sufficient.
Let me take you to Parliament and bring in our parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante. Kweku, yesterday we saw 3 statements from the police, from the military, from the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, all denying that this indeed happened, where they engaged land guards. The Lands and Natural Resources Ministry clarified that it only engaged a registered limited liability company to assist in reclaiming encroached government lands. I know this has become an issue in Parliament today, albeit many of the MPs were not there. What has been the talk there?
In fact, especially on the majority side, because they were the ones who were in Parliament today, a number of them who I spoke with when the House adjourned, just around the lobby of the House, who did not go on the record yet because they believe this is a matter that will naturally gravitate towards the floor within the next few days. They say that they are disappointed that Al-Hassan and Suhuyini will put out those details. But I also spoke to one very high-ranking official on the minority side who said that this was no surprise and that committee meetings almost always come out before the report actually comes. The person cited to me an instance, for instance, of the appointments committee, when even before the committee report will come out, there will be some sort of idea as to whether or not this person who before the committee will be approved or not, and what stance each and every side has taken. And in fact, most sides actually do press conferences before the reports are usually laid on the floor. So on the minority side, they do not see that any wrong has been occasioned by Al-Hassan Suhuyini coming out to divulge the information in terms of what went on into the committee. In fact, another defense that they put out is that there are certain committee reports that never come to the floor. There are so many referrals that end up at the committee meetings are had, and the report never comes. And so if the idea was that committee members would have to shut up over every issue that come up until a report is laid, then they will be gagged in their way of oversight responsibility. So quite a split house there. But we expect that, given how heated this is becoming, we cited a statement that came in yesterday and the heated response from the committee chairman today. We expect that if the committee chairman reports this to the speaker within this week, either tomorrow or Thursday or Friday before the week ends, surely this matter will end up on the floor for some spirited arguments on both sides.
Kweku, stay with me. Let's bring in expert on parliamentary affairs, Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, SEPA, Dr. Rashid Draman, joins us now. Doc, do you sense that there's any breach in procedure here because of what has happened? At least the leadership on the committee disagree on this. The chairman believes something had gone horribly wrong here. It's a betrayal. He's reporting the member to the speaker. We've heard from the ranking who disagrees with that, calls it unnecessary. Where do you stand on this? What does the parliamentary procedure say on what you can say publicly or cannot say once a meeting has been had among committee members?
Well, Evans, I think that this the cure to this is what we were discussing yesterday on your show, that open all committee meetings to the public, so that at the end of the day, we will not be having this conversation, because I mean your microphones and cameras will be there, and then they will beam these deliberations to all of us, so that I mean nobody will come and tell us one story or the other. Having said that, I think if you look through the parliamentary procedures, the standing orders, I don't think there's anything that says that a member of a committee cannot, discuss whatever was discussed at the committee level. You remember we were discussing yesterday even the security and the intelligence committee, and then the discussion was that except maybe for issues that are considered as maybe real state secrets, matters even within the security apparatus could be discussed. And so, for me, I think they are taking advantage of the lacuna that exists in the standing orders and in the rules of procedure. So, at this moment, from where I sit, I don't think that there's any breach.
Please stay with me. I want to bring in Hassan Suhuyini himself into the conversation. He's a man who started this controversy, which has put the pitched the leadership on that committee against each other. Joins us on the line right now. At least the chairman had indicated that they will be filing a report with the speaker about your conduct. If they do, will you be cooperating with any action that the Speaker plans to take in terms of looking into this? And I guess this may border on privilege.
Well, good evening, Evans. Good evening to listeners. And with the utmost respect, I wish not to make my conduct the subject of this discussion. The propriety or otherwise of my conduct is well stated out in our standing orders. And the practice of the House, if you have been following the House, you will know that every time members come out of committee meetings and they have issues they want to speak about, they do so freely because committee meetings are held in public. I have been a reporter myself, and I have covered members of parliament walk out of committee meetings and address the media several times. So, with all respect, Suhuyini's conduct is not the subject, and it shouldn't be. What is at stake is the ministry's engagement of a man that is well known by many as a Langa, and the ministry's revelation at the committee meeting that this gentleman has the authority and blessing through a contract that they claim to have entered into in 2012, when clearly the company they make reference to was only formed in 2014. Again, what should be the focus is the claim by the chief director aimed at justification for the ministries known as JATO. In their press release, which he signed yesterday, he then replaced the name JATO with Enoch Holdings Limited and says that the ministry's engagement with Enoch Holdings Limited started in 2012. And I'm pointing it out to you and the Chief Director, Evans, that Enoch Holdings Limited, according to the Registrar General, was incorporated in 2014.
Yeah, but the fact then remains that this indeed company had long existed. And in fact, the point we make that company had been engaged in such rendering such and offering such services to the state way back and not under this administration alone.
So, Evans, you don't see anything wrong with the ministry's claim that they engaged a company in 2012 when that company had not yet been incorporated?
Well, is this one that you plan, because you're a member of that committee, you have the powers to interrogate further and get some further clarity on and possibly some action?
I'm telling you the inconsistencies that flow out of the Chief Director's narration. First, he makes the claim that they are using this gentleman because he has a reputation so large that the military depend on him. The military says it's not true. They don't depend on him.
Yeah, they have categorically denied that. So has the police. He also
says that they are using this gentleman because his reputation is so large that the Ghana Police Service depend on him. The Ghana Police Service is saying they don't depend on him. The Chief Director is also saying that this relationship is so old that it began in 2012 And yet evidence shows that by 2012, that company that he claims they began a relationship with was not in existence.
But Suhuyini,
These inconsistencies must be of worry to anybody who wants to establish the truth about this matter.
Isn't that why the committee did the work it did and will put together a report, submit it to the plenary for a discussion and a decision? Why have you jumped the gun on this?
Whatever the committee will do, and one of it involves the request that we have made for better particulars on this relationship with Enoch Holdings. It does not preclude anyone from commenting on issues that happened before the committee.
But
there's
proper procedure.
Committee of the whole. This was not a committee of the whole.
So I guess the question is, so what's the intention of talking about this in the media when the right forum has been created, a proper report will be put together for all of you to decide on the floor of Parliament?
Evans, I'm saying that I've reported on Parliament before, and the practice is well known. There is no law or no rule stopping any member of a committee from making comments on, committee.
Yeah, but that's not my question. You can't make the comments. But I'm saying to what end?
With all respect, I refuse to make this discussion about the conduct of Suhuyini.
No, but I'm asking you a substantive matter. I'm not asking about conduct. I'm just asking. Clearly, you want something done about what you believe to be contradictions. And I'm saying the forum has been created now at the committee level and through a report that will subsequently be prepared and submitted to yourselves on the floor for the entire Parliament to take a decision. Isn't that the appropriate forum to get action taking and to deal with the matter substantively? What does the public utterances and disclosures do to getting this resolved?
You have your parliamentary correspondent every day. He doesn't report to you conclusions of Parliament. He gives you daily reports on happenings of Parliament. He does not wait until Parliament finishes a report on a matter before he reports to you. Why? Because Parliament sits in the public. And so the happenings in Parliament, whether it's a conclusive report, must be of public interest.
But we'll get to know anyway, because once the report is filed, Parliament will debate it.
It is also useful that the public is carried along, even in the preparation of the report. It is useful. And that is why, in some cases, even the members of the public are invited to submit memoranda. And even since this story broke yesterday, a number of issues have come to my attention involving the operations of this gentleman and his company, which will feed into a final report of the committee when the ministry finally submits, the terms and conditions of the contract that they have with this gentleman. It can even lead to us inviting this gentleman eventually to the committee, because the public discussion will help enrich our report.
Asa Suhuyini, thank you very much. And he is the MP for Tamale North who had raised this issue in the public and triggered this controversy. I still have Dr. Draman on the line. And Doc, we have now a draft revised standing orders for Parliament, which has been adopted, yet to become effective, which proposes now that all committee sittings will be public. And of course, then we can go in there with our cameras and report this pretty freely. However, seeing that the real purpose of committee sittings and Parliament is to actually take decisions and take action, should it be construed as premature for members of Parliament to commenting in the media space about things that had come before the committee, even before the entire House get to take action?
So, Evans, I support that very strongly, wherever it is coming from, because the more we know, the better there is transparency and accountability in our country. So I support any member who, provided he or she is not breaching any procedure. I think sometimes when these matters are left to Parliament alone, we don't get to hear the happenings and we don't get to hear some of the things that are wrong in our republic. Look, Evans, I think for me, listening to all this conversation, the question I continue to ask myself, is, are we a failing state? Because where are the state institutions? Where is the police? Where is the military? When I was studying political science, there used to be something that we call the taxonomy of state failure. And these are, some of the signs when, security, particularly at the national level, begins to get privatized. When state institutions cannot rely, like parliament cannot, a ministry cannot rely on the security apparatus that have been set up by the state under our constitution. I think there are very serious questions to ask about the health of our country and the health of our state.
Dr. Rashid Roman, thank you very much. You're still live here on Joy 99.7 FM. This is Top Story News Night in a minute.
Hey, you ever buy credits where you get up to 20